friends and neighbors. I'm a Brit in progress. Welcome to the UK. Hello, friends and neighbors. I'm back. I'm drunk. You know what that means?
It's time for drunk news.
Drunk news. So this is going to be the first trial run of this concept. So you've already seen the intro. We have been drinking
all afternoon.
Yes, Long Island iced teas all afternoon, and we have 2 British newspapers, one conservative leaning and one liberal leaning, and we're going to read the news.
I mean, we're gonna ask each other the news and we're gonna figure out if we know what the news is. I just got out of frame a little bit there.
You did. You went way out of frame. Whatever. It's fine. So the idea is we're going to, one of us will read the other a headline, and then the other one has to guess at what the content of the story is. And then the person with right newspaper will tell them if they're right.
I feel like it might have been worth us explaining this concept before we got drunk.
Whatever.
It's fine. They'll figure it out.
And we're also gonna try.
Oh, also, Craig got new glasses.
I did get new glasses.
Lovely.
Finally. We're also gonna try to contrast the similar stories. Like, you'll see.
Yeah, we'll just do it and then you'll figure out what we're getting at. It'll be fine.
So, trigger warning, this video may or may not contain political opinions that you may or may not agree with.
This video may contain lefty fuckboy snowflakes.
Yeah. So, let's get in. I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the front page?
Yeah, I think that's the most logical start place. Don't you?
Okay,
so
so
the back?
I'm gonna show everybody the front page of the Daily Express, which is a right-leaning newspaper here in the UK.
As far as I'm aware, I don't know whether it's more of a middle, but I'm not buying the Sun. I'm sorry, I'm from Liverpool. I'm not buying the fucking Sun.
So the headline story is Patel, I'll take vile thugs off streets. So a little bit of drunk background. Priti Patel is what is she? The foreign secretary?
I don't know.
She's a government minister who is a trash person, and I hate her.
She's a horrible, cruel creature.
So I'm not trying to demonize her. Yeah, I am.
No, she's an arsehole. It's not demonizing so much as she's an arsehole.
She's one of these people who comes from a family of immigrants that wants to stop other immigrants from being able to pursue the same opportunities that she had. Like Ted Cruz in America. She's the British Ted Cruz.
Yeah, I'd say that was a reasonably accurate summation of Priti Patel.
What do you think she means by she'll take the vile thugs off the streets? Here's the picture. There's the picture.
I mean, I'm assuming this is in relation to the picture, but it's not necessarily is, though. This is my problem. But I assume what she's saying is she's going to employ new measures to stop people, you know, breaking lockdown measures and licking each other's faces and shit like that. I assume she's trying to stop people licking people's faces.
Find pages 6 and 7. That's page 12. 5, 6. Here we go.
Okay, so what's it say about Priti Patel?
So, drunken fights, rammed beaches. Rammed beaches?
Rammed.
I guess that's an Englishism.
It's full. It's a full
Yes.
beach.
Mounds of litter. Whatever happened to the lockdown laws? A major incident was declared yesterday after tens of thousands of sunseekers defied lockdown laws to crowd onto beaches on the hottest day of the year so far. So we did break the hottest day record.
Really? Of the year so far?
Yeah. Oh no, of the year so far, not of ever.
Not of life.
Okay. So
I think 1979 probably.
so I assume when they say they declared a major incident, that's like when cities in the US declare a state of emergency.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's just them
No.
saying something bad happened. We
Yeah.
didn't do anything about it, but we didn't like it.
2-meter social distancing rule was thrown out of the fucking water.
I don't think it says fucking there.
You know what? Whatever. I'm paraphrasing. The sea was crammed with people looking to cool down as temperatures peaked at 92 degrees Fahrenheit. It's interesting that they put Fahrenheit first
Yeah, that is
and
weird.
then put
Are
Celsius.
they selling this to Americans?
Is this? Can you buy this in America? Leave it in the
Daily
comments.
Express? Tell us. We don't know.
I would.
But, okay,
I would
so
show
let's,
you. But...
Let's get down to what Priti Patel is.
Okay, here we go. Here, this is Priti Patel. Just look at her. She looks like a horrible person.
She is quite pretty though. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
She's a piece of trash. I'm not gonna read her stuff.
No, but that's the point of what we're doing.
So this is what she said. Just last weekend, the whole country came together to praise our heroic police officers for putting their own lives on the line to keep us safe. We saw a student police officer run towards danger without a second thought, potentially risking countless lives, but potentially saving countless lives. Small distinguish there.
Risking his own.
Okay. 5 days later, we saw these utterly vile scenes in Brixton. So this is talking about the Black Lives Matter protests. Oh, are they talking about the raves? There were a bunch of bullshit raves here, and anyone who participated in the bullshit raves can fucking die.
They probably will.
My message to them could not be clearer. I want to see those responsible arrested, brought to justice, and taken off our streets before they can put even more people in danger.
So what she's saying is that so the front page was thugs something. Thugs?
Thugs.
So she'll
Vile
take
thugs.
people who are assaulting police officers off the street.
So let's be clear. You shouldn't assault police officers. So it
Being
seems like just having a quick drunk skim through the rest of the article, it seems like a lot of people are being like really like tensions are up because we've been in lockdown now for almost 3 months.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting antsy, and the police are having to deal with an increasing number of people that are getting like out of control.
That makes sense. Should we move on to The Guardian?
Yes, so The Guardian is a left-leaning newspaper. I actually am very familiar with The Guardian.
The Guardian?
Guardian. Even before I moved here.
It's
So,
a good
let's see.
newspaper, I
What are
like
we
it.
doing?
So should we go with the actual headline, because they do mention the crowds on the beach. However, the headline is
We'll talk about the crowds on the beach.
Starmer opens rift with Labour left after sacking Long Bailey. I haven't actually heard about this. This is interesting.
Oh, I have. I've seen quite a bit about it.
Because Long Bailey is a very extreme left wing, and she ran for the head of the party at the same time as Starmer did. Keir Starmer is quite like
He's the leader of the Labour Party.
yeah, but he used what I'm saying. I was trying to give context on
Oh.
him. He was the head of a union, I think, before now. So he is still pretty fucking left.
He also has an extended background as a prosecutor for the government. He's a government prosecutor.
Yeah. So he's a good arguer.
He's a lawyer.
Okay, so I'll read it again and you tell
Okay.
me what it says. Starmer opens rift with Labour left after sacking Long Bailey.
So this probably isn't fair because I've heard a lot about this, like outside of the newspaper. Essentially, what happened is she made the mistake of agreeing with. So she got sacked for being anti-Semitic, but there are a lot of people who are saying, "Oh, she's not anti-Semitic, but she made the mistake of associating herself with people that are." I think she retweeted something or
Pro-Israeli. So like that's
it was anti-Israeli. She made a comment about she made a comment or agreed with a comment about how the Israeli leadership is not the best leadership.
This is the thing as well. I think it's one of those things that politicians really probably shouldn't comment on because it's such a sore topic.
Yeah.
You know, it's a painful topic for both sides. I think. So if you comment on either side, you're gonna get destroyed essentially. But she can't. The thing with Long Bailey was, which was a positive thing that a lot of people liked about it, is that she wouldn't keep her mouth shut.
Sometimes politicians.
Again, I don't know what she said. I don't know what she said, so
There's going to be a video at some point where
dodgy.
There's going to be a video at some point where I detail the way that the British electoral political system works.
Yeah.
But it's not today.
Starmer was facing a bruising showdown with Labour left-wingers last night after his decisive sacking of Rebecca Long Bailey reignited the party's internal turmoil over the issue of anti-Semitism.
May I interject?
Go ahead.
When he says sacking, like it's a term that the English use for fired, and what he did was he fired her from her position in the cabinet. She's still an MP. She's still a representative.
You can't. Long Bailey was swiftly dismissed as Shadow Education Secretary for sending an approving tweet about an interview in which the actor, Maxine Peake, said the US police tactic of kneeling on someone's neck was taught by the Israeli Secret Services. Interesting. Because technically she could have been approving of the fact that Black Lives Matter is a useful... Do you know what I mean? Israel emphatically denied this. Peake later retracted the claim, but by then Long Bailey had been fired. Never approve anything on Twitter. This is why politicians should not be on Twitter.
Politicians, just delete your Twitter accounts.
Just don't be on Twitter. It's
just
a bad
don't be on
idea.
Twitter.
You'll only ever get fucked for it. Her approval of the interview in which Peake also talked about her new film and her support for Jeremy Corbyn led Jewish groups to demand Long Bailey to delete her tweet and apologise. Instead, she sent another message saying she did not endorse all aspects of the article.
Don't be on Twitter.
Just delete your Twitter. Just delete your Twitter.
Shall we jump over to me? So I have an interesting article here. This says, let me see here. So what do you think this is talking about? Not a single fine has been levied for people breaking quarantine. That's not exactly, I paraphrased, but...
Just read the actual title.
Not a single fine, the quarantine farce.
They're basically saying that no one's been fined for breaking quarantine. But I feel like I've read about people being fined. I can't believe that's true.
So they're talking specifically that no one has been fined for breaking the 14-day isolation.
I mean, to be fair, people might have actually just been staying in for the 14 days.
The headline of the article is very misleading.
That is very misleading.
Because people have definitely been fined for breaking the greater quarantine rules.
The lockdown.
Yeah. The like not hanging out in public or being in large groups.
People have definitely been
fined for that.
Well, they haven't been fined for the 14-day thing.
Yeah.
Possibly because people haven't gone out for the 14 days.
So it's talking about people that have been arriving in the country by air and sea.
My parents came in from Norway on their they went on a cruise in Norway, and they had to cut it like a week in. And no one said anything about quarantining, but I think they did still quarantine just in case.
Yeah.
This is a rule that's only come in like in the last, I don't know, at most month.
3 weeks or so?
Yeah, it's
when they said that they were, if you're coming into the country now you have to quarantine.
It's a really new rule.
So the 14-day quarantine policy is unenforceable, or is as unenforceable as it is ill-judged and mistimed. I will definitely agree with the conservative newspaper that it is ill-timed. It should have been one of the first things.
Yeah.
And as to it being unenforceable, I mean, I kind of agree with them there too, because how do you know? Because we don't have the app.
We also
and even if you did have the app, even if you were coming into the country, there's no guarantee that you would download it.
My friend recently moved back to New Zealand because he lived there, and then he lived in England, then he lived back, whatever. Not relevant. He moved back to New Zealand, and he had to. It was basically enforced. He had to stay in a specific hotel, for 14 days before he could go out and see his family.
I was just about to say, that's the only way that this is enforceable.
You say, this is your hotel, you stay in this room, you don't leave, we'll bring you food. Not doing that here. They're just going,
no. So
stay inside for 14 days.
So
they're not going to look at you, but
they're
stay
complaining.
inside.
They're complaining about an unenforceable problem that can't be enforced because the infrastructure isn't there to enforce it.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of poppycock.
It's a bunch of irrelevant nonsense.
It exists to stoke people's opinions and anger against
foreign people.
Against foreign people and against the lockdown.
Yeah.
Because, as we know, we really are not in a position that we should be reopening pubs and bars and stuff.
But we're still reopening.
But we're going to open them anyway because the government really desperately wants people to go back to work. Damn, how many people die because of it. At least I'm not in America.
Can I have a top-up?
Yeah, we've been drinking homemade Long Island iced teas, and they are... these are really good.
Well,
maybe with the next round of beer reviews, I'll include...
We didn't turn off the fans, by the way.
Oh. Whatever, we're into it now.
Oh, I should have fucking mixed that. Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta mix it.
It's gonna be more editing than it is work for us. It's work for future Craig.
Yes, I'm sorry, future Craig. Tell me how you feel when you're editing this tomorrow. Put it right here.
Put your sadness on the screen. We
Okay.
feel your pain.
So it's your turn. Use this one, Craig.
My God! Okay, so we were talking about Glastonbury before we cut off because the battery ran out.
So just so you know, this is the second time we're recording this because we just recorded the other one with no sound. So this is gonna seem smoother.
Yeah, so apparently I've been looking in Glastonbury. It's the 50th anniversary this week. So that's unfortunate for Glastonbury, isn't it?
It's very unfortunate. And it says, I know we forgot to mention this the first time, that if something happens next year and they can't have the festival, that's it, it's done.
It's done.
Which would be very sad because
suck.
it's been going on for 50 years,
Yeah.
like you said.
It's a long-running festival, and to explain to viewers in America, Glastonbury is somewhat equivalent maybe to Woodstock. It's a big festival. It's our biggest festival here. I mean, if you don't count Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is a comedy festival. But it's a big-ass festival, basically. All of my friends go to it. You know, it's a big thing.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it before I moved here. But, you know.
It's much like...
I'm sure you've never heard of the Warped Tour. Ooh, I'm out of mixer, so I've got to kind of make this one last. Going on to my next one. Which is this one. Oop. Churchill's Unlikeliest Ally. So, you didn't know the first time we did this who they were talking about.
Yeah. I thought... Let's just run down what I actually initially thought.
What did you initially think?
I thought initially the unlikeliest allies of Churchill would be either Hitler, a Russian, or an American.
Or Labour leader William Attlee.
Or William Attlee. William Attlee?
William?
William?
Was it William? This article is actually talking about a dude called, what was his first name?
Something Nevis. Ernest Bevin.
Ernest
Not
Bevin,
Memphis at all.
who is a labor MP and trade union leader. I will read the passage that I read the first time from the article. At first glance, Bevin seemed an unlikely comrade. Not only was he a committed socialist, a creed Churchill had ferociously opposed throughout his career. Churchill was very anti-social.
Unions.
But he also had very little experience in Parliament, having only been elected as a Labour MP at a by-election, which don't happen very often here, in June of 1940, so almost 2 years after the war started for the British. Churchill was also not sympathetic to the trade union movement, and we're going to have a talk about unions and the differences between American and British unions. He goes on to talk about the reason why he was an unlikely ally is he was a very prominent voice for in the Labour Party for setting aside political ideology and all of that for the sake of doing what needed to be done to win the Second World War. I think we can all agree that Britain not infighting amongst their political parties was probably fairly key to the way the war went. I'm finding out more and more now that Churchill was kind of a dick.
Yeah. I think
because like I've said before, my knowledge of your prime minister starts and ends with Churchill, and Churchill in our school system is like
glorified,
the British god of politics.
Yeah. No.
Next, from the left-leaning newspaper, what do you got for me?
I've got you a tale of gay exile, in fact. Okay, so the headline is Gay Exile Wins Place in Rosetta Stone's History.
Okay. So what I initially thought this was about was, and I still think this, but I thought it was about an individual being instrumental in securing the place of the Rosetta Stone at the British Museum. And oh, by the way, he was also gay. That turned out not to be what it was about. So what was it about? And then I will say my piece.
Okay, so I'll do a little bit of reading.
Indeed.
One of the most famous objects in the world, the Rosetta Stone, is to have its little-known gay history explored in public tours for the first time in the British Museum. Okay, so I'll skip ahead a little bit. Because of Banks, the Rosetta Stone is being added to the LGBTQ themed tours of the British Museum.
We haven't said what the guy's full name is.
Okay. So, William John Banks, a charming, adventurous, and rich Egyptologist who was forced to flee Britain after he was caught having sex in Green Park with a soldier.
What's Green Park?
Green Park is a park in London. He was exiled because he was having sex in Green Park with a soldier.
Kinky.
But what he added to the Rosetta Stone story is that, let me find it, the museum says it was Banks who discussed the possibility that the text on the stone might all say the same thing, and he correctly supposed that a recurring cartouche represented a royal name. An obelisk collected by Banks, and which stands in the grounds of Kingston Lacy, his lavish Dorset home, was used in deciphering the stone. So basically,
Dorset.
He figured out the Rosetta Stone was a Rosetta Stone, if you will. So it was a way of learning the deciphering different languages, and we managed to be able to decipher hieroglyphics and Coptic via the use of the Greek and the Latin on the stone.
Yeah, this is fascinating.
Oh, the English one.
Turing.
The gay Turing.
Alan Turing was gay.
Yes. What? I'm sorry. What have you been doing all this time? But yeah, so you know, it's a part of LGBTQ plus history, in which someone who is gay has been basically erased from the annals, much like Turing was for a large part of the early century, so that we didn't really know that he was the one who made a lot of the accomplishments in World War II and created computers. So
fair enough.
I can see why they put this here. It's a very much a Turing-y story, but for classicists.
Okay, last one for the last time. Let's talk about football.
Oh my god.
And by football, I mean soccer. And by soccer, I mean football.
Yes. I agree.
It's on both papers. Liverpool has won the Premier League.
Woo, 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 woo.
I don't know what's going on. I just support it because my father-in-law tells me to.
Yeah, the main reason we're pointing this out is because my dad is a massive Liverpool supporter, and when I say massive, he basically spends a lot of his time looking for videos about Liverpool. That is how massive he's obsessed.
Yes. And also, it is fairly historic
It's a
because
big deal.
it hasn't happened in 30 years.
Yeah, so if you look at this part of the newspaper, Liverpool crowned champions for the first time in 30 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, to explain a little bit of this, they've won the Premier League, which is the top league of football in England. So you have the Premier League, and then you have leagues underneath it. If you get better in those leagues, you can move up a league. He's probably very embarrassed watching if he watches this and sees how we won. Nonetheless, my dad will be very pleased. A sporting machine at the peak of its power is what the Guardian says about this. And look at this lovely picture of Klopp, who is the manager of Liverpool.
Jurgen Klopp.
Jurgen Klopp, who my dad has a massive man crush on.
That's an understatement. It doesn't really focus on Klopp all that much. It's just a nice picture of the players.
Kop idols. Now, that's something I need to explain. Kop. The Kop is where the Liverpool supporters sit in the stadium. It's called the Kop.
I didn't actually know.
Well, there you go. Now you know.
So, with that, we're done.
Yeah, I think we've completed our drunk news.
Indeed. So,
Cheers.
I'm empty.
Oh, that's really bad. No, come here. That's really bad. That's bad etiquette. Don't do that. There you go. Now you can
There we go.
cheers.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers. Haha. So, thank you for joining us for the first edition of Drunk News.
I hope this hasn't been too arduous.
I feel for future Craig doing the editing.
I also feel for future viewers who are just going to watch this like...
So, in the future, if this does well, we're going to do more of these.
We should tell them what the date on the newspapers is. It's the 26th of June.
Yes, Friday the 26th of June.
Yep.
So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think about this show format.
Was being drunk.
And us being drunk. And, by the way, we seriously are drunk.
I mean, we actually might not look drunk. I don't know.
No.
But we are legitimately hammered.
We've been drinking Long Island iced teas all afternoon. And, yeah. So this is authentic. Is as authentic as you can get for drunk content.
We can maybe pretend to be more drunk, but I don't know how that would work.
Let us know. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you when we see you.
See you later.